Ite manasi sushpaste sharire satiyo naraha dhatu samye stite smarta vishparupam cha māmajam tatastam riyamanam tu kashta pashana sannibham ahaṁ smarapi madbhaktam nayami paramam gatim sakruteva prapannaya tavasmiti cha yachate abhayam sarva-bhūtebhyo dadāmye tad vratam mama sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja ahaṁ tvā sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi mā śhuchaḥ. It is indeed a great blessing for all of us to relish the Charama Shloka in detail. The Gita's Charama Shloka can also be called the Charama of the Charama Shlokas. Our Shastras give us 3 Charama Shlokas. Varaha Charama Shloka, Shri Rama Charama Shloka, Gita Charama Shloka. These are assurances by Bhagavan, repeated assurances. How He and He alone is our protector, our savior, our refuge, our ultimate goal and the ultimate means. We are assembled here today to continue relishing the Gita Charama Shloka. When we look at the Gita Charama Shloka, the reason why it is the Charama of the Charama Shlokas, because Krishna, out of compassion, covers the message of the other 2 Charama Shlokas in his Gita Charama Shloka. Ite manasi sushpaste sharire satiyo naraha dhatu samye stite sparta vishwarupam cha māmajam. Varaha Charama Shloka, Bhagavan declares, when one who is able-bodied, with an able mind, with an intelligence that is working, functioning, when one understands, realizes, knows me as the Shariri of this universe, Vishwarupam cha māmajam, knows me as Ajam Anadim Vetti Loka Maheshwaram, knows me as Sarvadhara, knows me as Sarvaniyanta, knows me as Sarvaseshi. When one, with all the faculties working, performs Saranagati with love, then he makes a solemn pledge. Tatastam riyamanam tu kashta pashana sannibham ahaṁ smarapi madbhaktam nayami paramam gatim. When the time comes for that bhakta, that sharanagata to depart, at the time of death, when that bhakta, that sharanagata is unable to remember Bhagavan, even if he is unable to remember Bhagavan, when the body becomes like a stone or like a log of wood, when the mind stops functioning, he gives an assurance that he or she need not be worried, because at that very moment, he shall remember us. He shall not only remember us, he shall lead us all the way through the Archiradi Marga to his very abode. Mokṣha sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi, Krishna says. Ahaṁ tvā sarva-pāpebhyo. When he says ahaṁ, he is referring to the declaration that he makes in the Varaha Charama Shloka. Vishparupam cha mamajam. When one realizes his true nature, then he assures, sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. All the papas, all the karma that comes, that obstructs, comes in the way between us and him, which prevents us from even remembering him at the time when we need to remember him. He says, he shall ensure that he will lead us, mokṣhayiṣhyāmi, he will liberate us personally, as he declares in the Varaha Charama Shloka. Ahaṁ smarami madbhaktam nayami paramam gatim. So therefore, in the Gita Charama Shloka, he once again summarizes his own declaration during his Varaha Avatara. Ahaṁ tva sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. And then he also adds, ma śhuchaḥ. There is no need to worry here, Arjuna. Be worry free, be fearless. There is no need for you to hesitate, to doubt, to fear, to grieve. Why? I have already made a solemn pledge. Sakriteva prapannaya tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarva-bhūtebhyo dadāmyetad vratam mama. You very well know that I have already made a solemn pledge. Rama, when he makes that pledge, he says, Dadami etad vratam mama. Dadami, he says, which means I give. Present continuous tense. This is to be underlined, because he gave, he gives, he will give, he will keep giving. Dadami, present continuous tense. So therefore, hey Arjuna, I have already taken a solemn pledge. I am Satya Sankalpa. I am Satya Vrata. There is no way that I will break my promise. You may break your promises, but I shall never break my promise. Therefore, ma śhuchaḥ. Where is the need to grieve when I have taken over the responsibility? Sakriteva prapannaya, even once. Prapatti is a one-time affair. Saranagati is a one-time affair. But its impact is lifetime. This is to be clearly understood. We don't do Saranagati every day. We do Saranagati and we become Sharanagatas. We do Prapatti and we remain Prapannas. It is a one-time Sharanagati, one-time surrender. That is why Sakriteva Prapannaya, even once. Prapannaya Tava Asmi Iti. Tava Asmi. When one surrenders, how should one surrender? Tava Asmi. Krishna, in the first sentence of the Charama Shloka, says, māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. Surrender is a one-to-one relationship. It is not one-to-many relationship. Love also can be one-to-many. But surrender is one-to-one. That relationship between the Jivatma and Paramatma is one-to-one. This needs to be very clearly understood. This is why when we talk of Sharanagati, we take the example, the supreme example of Gopikas, Eka Bhakti. Because you cannot surrender to many. Surrendering is one-to-one. And when we surrender, how do we surrender? Tava Asmi, I belong to you. Tava Asmi, Cha, also he adds, I belong to you. I only belong to you. I belong to none. I do not belong to myself and I belong to no one. I belong to you. I belong only to you. Now, what is that implication of we belonging to him and him alone? We are his property. He is the owner. So, the onus of taking care of the property is on the owner. I have this book, which is my property. The book doesn't worry about who is going to take care of it. I, the owner, has the responsibility of taking care. The owner has the responsibility of taking care of his property. When one surrenders, sakriteva prapannaya tava asmi iti chayachate. When one calls out, saying, I belong to you, I only belong to you. That is why Krishna repeats the same thing. Māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. Don't go around surrendering to everyone. Surrender only to me. Because surrender is a one-to-one relationship. That is why bharya bharta sambandha. Shastras say the relationship between a Paramatma and Jivatma, Navavida Sambandham. Pitacha rakshakasyeshi bhartagneyo ramapatihi swamyadharo mamatma cha bhokta sadhya manoditaha. 9 kinds of relationships. Pita, rakshaka, seshi, bharta, gneyaha, swami, adharaha, antaratma, antaryami, bhokta. In this, bharta, underline. Bhakta, bharya sambandha. Jivatma is bharya, Purushottama is the bharta. It's a one-to-one relationship. That is unflinching, unwavering, complete and total surrender. That is why Krishna, what he says as in Ramavatara, Tavasmiti chayachate māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. The moment we transfer the burden to him, that is why Saranagati is bhara samarpana, bharanyasa. Prapatti is bharanyasa, transferring the responsibility to him completely. Total transference. Once that responsibility is transferred, then there is no iota of doubt in terms of who will take care from now on. That transfer has to be complete. It cannot be partial. Complete transfer of responsibility. Then the Jivatma, each and every one of us, we become his sole property, his utility to be used by him at his will, for his pleasure. Tavasmi iti chayachate abhayam sarva-bhūtebhyaha. Dadami abhayam, Rama says in the Charama Shloka. Dadami, I give abhaya, fearlessness. I give abhaya, protection. I give abhaya, security. This is what we are looking for in this life. Throughout our life, what are we looking for? We want security. We want to be protected. We need to be fearless. He is assuring this. Everything that we need in life. Therefore, śhuchaḥ. Krishna, we see in the Gita Charama Shloka, he brings the other 2 Charama Shlokas and embeds the central message into and adds more. That is the reason why Gita Charama Shloka is the Charama of the Charama Shlokas. Sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. Ahaṁ tvāṁ sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi śhuchaḥ. Last session, we looked in detail, looked at every phrase of the Charama Shloka, every word, and we tried to relish all the messages that Krishna wants us to understand through the Charama Shloka. If we have to recap what we discussed last week, one way of relishing the Charama Shloka and at the same time also reflecting on all the key messages that we went through is also to look at how Krishna, by declaring Charama Shloka, also demonstrates all his Kalyana Gunas. We may think Charama Shloka is a vidhi, is an injunction. Where is he explaining his Kalyana Gunas? In the Charama Shloka. But every phrase of the Charama Shloka demonstrates a very important Kalyana Guna of Bhagavan. Sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja ahaṁ sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi śhuchaḥ. Each of this, when we reflect, we can understand and relish his Kalyana Guna. Sarva-dharmān parityajya. Krishna, through this, demonstrates his Kalyana Guna of siddhopayatvam. Let me first list out all the Kalyana Gunas and then we will discuss. In a way, this helps us to recap what we discussed last week. Sarva-dharmān parityajya. By declaring sarva-dharmān parityajya, Krishna expresses, demonstrates his Kalyana Guna of siddhopayatvam. Māmekaṁ. Māmekaṁ, a single word, is so very powerful. Through Māmekaṁ, when he says Māmekaṁ, he is demonstrating his Kalyana Guna of saulabhyam. Sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ. When he declares ekam, he is expressing and demonstrating his Kalyana Guna of nirapekshatvam. I will explain each of these. Nirapekshatvam, sahakari nirapekshatvam. Sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ. Through śharaṇaṁ, he is demonstrating his Kalyana Guna of ananya śharaṇatvam upayatvam. Māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. Through vraja, he is demonstrating his Kalyana Guna of vishwasaniyatvam. Māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. Ahaṁ. He is demonstrating his Kalyana Guna of paratvam. Ahaṁ. Tva. When he is referring to all of us through Arjuna, you, he is demonstrating his Kalyana Guna of swamitvam, seshitvam. Ahaṁ tva sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. Sarva-pāpa vināṣakatvam, the Kalyana Guna that is being demonstrated. Śhuchaḥ. Through śhuchaḥ, he is demonstrating the Kalyana Guna of sakala phala pradatvam, moksha pradatvam, svikaryatvam. So we get to relish several Kalyana Gunas of Bhagavan. Now, in the process of relishing his Kalyana Gunas, we will also do a recap of what we discussed last week. Sarva-dharmān parityajya. The moment we translate sarva-dharmān parityajya, do a straightforward translation, we are a little confused and bewildered. We discuss sarva-dharmān parityajya in a very detailed way, but still there is scope for confusion. We need to be very clear. When sarva-dharmān parityajya is translated as abandon, relinquish all dharmas, we are confused. At the same time, we also are we also are very happy. We say, we are reassured. After all, this is exactly what we have been doing. Sarva-dharmān parityajya, all the dharmas that are recommended by Shastras, we are relinquishing them. Now, how do we understand sarva-dharmān parityajya? Bhagavan is siddhopaya. Now, we saw the two means to the goal. Upaya means. Sadhyopaya, siddhopaya. Sadhya, upaya. Sadhya means where there is effort. Any means where I put in effort becomes sadhyopaya. All the means recommended in the Shastras, including Gita, all of them fall in this first category, sadhya upaya, because there is always an effort that needs to come from me, self-effort. The foundation of any upaya becomes self-effort, it becomes sadhya upaya. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, all come in this category. That is sadhya upaya. Now Bhagavan is siddha upaya, siddho upaya, which means he is not only the goal, he is also the means. Now here, the moment we understand his siddhopayatva, he being the means, then we can go look again at sarva-dharmān parityajya to understand it a lot more better. Why is Krishna, who throughout the Gita, which is a Dharma Shastra, throughout the Gita has been telling Arjuna that you must follow Dharma, you must do your Dharma, you must not follow adharma. Why would he all of a sudden towards the end of the Gita says, sarva-dharmān parityajya, don't stop doing your Dharma? Would Krishna say that? Obviously not. So when he says sarva-dharmān parityajya, he is essentially talking about what dharmas to be relinquished and what dharma not to be relinquished. We have earlier peeled the layers of dharma. As we start peeling the layers of dharma, eventually when we go to the core of dharma, the core of our dharma is to love and serve Krishna. Now, that is not to be relinquished. What is to be relinquished is the layers and layers of other dharma. Now let's take Arjuna's context. It will become even more clear for us. What is the context of the Kurukshetra war? Arjuna has a conflict. On the one hand, he has to perform kshatriya dharma. On the other hand, he has to perform kula dharma. If he has to perform kula dharma, which is protecting the Kurus, he cannot perform kshatriya dharma. If he has to perform kshatriya dharma, he will end up killing his relatives, his Kurus, which means he cannot perform kula dharma. Arjuna has a conflict. Arjuna says, which dharma I should adopt? Should I adopt kula dharma or kshatriya dharma? I go this way, I'm caught between this phrase, devil and deep blue sea. This is, Arjuna is in a quandary. What dharma to follow? Krishna says, neither of the two, hey Arjuna. Because dharma is at a superficial level. Yes, there are different dharmas which are potentially in conflict. So, when we can easily relate to Arjuna. In our day-to-day life, many of our dharmas are always in conflict. My dharma as a husband is always in conflict with the dharma as a father. My dharma as an employer is always in conflict as an employee. Look, wherever we go, we see always dharmas in conflict. Now, the only way we can resolve the conflict and at the same time do actions that are liberating in nature is when we relinquish all the dharmas that obstruct us in performing our core dharma. Krishna's message is sarva-dharmān parityajya. Parityajya means tyajya parityajya, which means renounce well, which means renounce everything that comes in the way of loving and serving Krishna. Anything. So essentially the message to Arjuna is, hey Arjuna, if you perform kula dharma on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, you cannot do kainkariya to me. How would you do kainkariya? How can you do my work, hey Arjuna, on this battlefield? You can do my work only by doing your kshatriya dharma, therefore fight. On the battlefield, your kshatriya dharma is aligning, is not obstructing your core dharma. Our core dharma, there are two facets. Seshatva, paratantrya. Again, two very important words. Note them down. Seshatva means servitude. Paratantrya, dependence. This is the true dharma of the Atman. The Atman is subservient to Bhagavan and the Atman is totally dependent on Bhagavan. So, any duty, any dharma that we do, which is not aligned with the nature of the Atman, Krishna says, has to be relinquished. So when we look at Krishna and say he is Siddhopaya, when we relish his Kalyana Guna of Siddhopayatva, one thing becomes very clear. What becomes very clear? Everything that comes in the way, that obstructs us in loving and serving Krishna, in doing his work, has to be renounced. We have to continue performing dharma. Otherwise, Krishna himself will not say paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkatam dharma samsthapanarthaya. The very reason why he takes avatars is dharma samsthapana. What dharma? Every dharma has to be aligned with our foundational dharma, Atma dharma. The Atma has its dharma, and whatever we do, if is aligned with our Atma dharma, that needs to be performed. Whatever is not aligned to Atma dharma needs to be renounced. Sarva-dharmān parityajya. His Kalyana Guna of Siddhopayatva. Māmekaṁ. What a beautiful word, Māmekaṁ, in the context of Krishna, when he is referring to himself. Now, after going through the Saranagati Shastra, through the Charama Shloka, some of us may wonder, where is the role of Shri in this in the Charama Shloka? Because earlier when we discussed Saranagati in different contexts, one thing was very clear. She is the Purushakara. She is the mediatrix. Lakshmiya saha Rishikeshaha Devya Karunya Rupaya Rakshaka Sarva-siddhante Vedante Picha Giyate. Together with Lakshmi, Narayana protects us. So Saranagati has to be done to both Shri and Shriyapati together. Throughout the Gita, on the battlefield, when Krishna is talking, declaring Charama Shloka, where is Shri? That is why Krishna says, sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ. He is showing his chest. He is showing his Srivatsa, where on which Shri is inseparably seated, always there. Māṁ śhyaḥ-patitvam. The Kalyana Guna of śhyaḥ-patitvam is highlighted when he says Māṁ. Also Saulabhya. His Saulabhya, his accessibility, is only because of Shri. Also, many times we ask this question, is Shri ever introduced within the Gita? Where is she? So throughout it looks like only Krishna, Krishna, Krishna everywhere. Even Charama Shloka, where is she? The beauty of Gita is that we have to go right way back to the beginning of the Gita. When the hero is introduced, the heroine also is introduced. Tatashvete rayer-yukte mahati syandane stitau madavah pandavaschaiva. Madavah pandavaschaiva divyau shankau pradadmatuhu. The very first introduction of Krishna in the Gita, what a majestic, magnificent introduction. The introduction happens, Krishna is introduced not as Krishna, not as Govinda, not as Madhusudana, not as Keshava, not as Narayana, not as Vishnu, not as Jagannatha. Madhava. Shriyapatitvam is highlighted right at the beginning. And without Shri, there cannot be the Shri of Jnana as well. So therefore what? Madhava is Madhava. Ma is Shri, Ma is Jnana. Madhava, consort of Shri, also Lord of Jnana, because he is going to also bestow the quintessential knowledge. That Madhava, right at the beginning, Krishna gets introduced as Madhava, and here he says Māṁ. Within Māṁ is embedded Ma, Sri Mahalakshmi. So Ma demonstrates Saulabhya, his accessibility. Bhagavan, we think, is somewhere out there beyond our reach, but he keeps repeatedly telling us, I am within your reach. We may think he is out of our reach, but he repeatedly says we are never out of his reach. We may think he is out of our reach, which means essentially he is always accessible to us all the time. Saulabhya, Saulabhya, Saulabhya. Ever ready That is why the very introduction of Krishna in the Gita is he being a charioteer, saying, I am available. I can be your driver. Going back to the analogy of the car and the driver, you think you are the driver, but you don't need to be the driver. I am there waiting to drive on your behalf if you want me to. Saulabhya shriyah patitva sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ. Nirapekshatva. Kalyana guna. What is nirapekshatva? Nirapekshatva is sahakari nirapekshatva. Sahakari means support. Nirapekshatva, which means he does not look for any other support from anyone or anything, including our self-effort for him to bestow his grace. Very important to realize this. There are no conditions for his grace to be bestowed on us. We may think it is a give and take relationship. It is not a give and take relationship. His grace, his kripa, as we discussed last week, nirhetuka. Nirhetuka kripa. Hetu means cause. Nirhetuka, causeless, ceaseless, causeless kripa. His grace is streaming down, unconditional, to all of us, without any discrimination whatsoever. Therefore, nirapekshatva means in order for us to be liberated, there is no need of any self-effort from our side. Even if we think we are putting in effort, it is only an illusion that it is our effort. It is like, I think I'm driving the car, I'm holding a steering wheel, but somebody is actually controlling it. I may be in the illusion that I am driving the car. The car is going left, the car is going right. I may be telling myself, my ego is going, oh, I'm a great driver, I'm great skilled. But imagine it is an intelligent car and somebody is actually controlling every move, every turn of the car. Then what happens? Even if I stop holding the steering wheel, I let go. Then the car even is going even better. The journey is even better now. Until I was holding it and I was thinking I am driving, it was not such a blissful journey. The moment I let go of the steering wheel, it is still going wherever it needs to go. And the car is now getting navigated even better. Then I realized that I was in the illusion all this time that I am in control of the wheel of life. He's been controlling it all the time. Nirapekshatva. Ekam. When he says, no one else can bestow moksha. Very important. Moksha pradatva. Krishna's moksha pradatva. Therefore, why we say surrender is one-to-one relationship? For moksha, surrender to him. And when he says eka, nirapekshatva, even the self-effort has to be relinquished at some point in time. This is where moving on from the state of being a Markata Kishora to a state of being Marjala Kishora. This is what we discussed last week. We remain as Markata Kishoras for a while because we are still unsure. We cannot easily let go of the steering wheel. Initially, we are holding it tight with two hands, then one hand, and still, even after we are convinced that the car is still moving how it should move, there is that sense of uncertainty within us. That Mahavishwasa is still not there. The moment the Mahavishwasa comes in, then we can freely let go. That little self. This is why the example of Draupadi, right? Until she was holding on to her own sari, the moment she let it go, magic happened. Māmekaṁ nirapekshatva. Māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ. Śharaṇaṁ demonstrates his upayatva. He is the only means. He is the only means. Ananya śharaṇatva. Ananya, there is no other means. He is the only means. Śharaṇaṁ vraja. Vraja means acceptance. Vraja is holding on to him mentally. So for that, it requires Mahavishwasa. Vishwasaniyatvam. Can I trust someone? I can only trust someone if that someone is extremely trustworthy. Who else can be more trustworthy than Bhagavan? When he says vraja, he is essentially also demonstrating his kalyana guna of Vishwasaniyatvam. Hey Arjuna, I have already made that pledge. So therefore there is no need for you to even think. All that we need to do is prevent. He is already holding us. He is already holding us. We don't even need to hold him. Accepting is not preventing him from holding us. That requires a lot of vishwasa. Vishwasaniyatvam. Ahaṁ paratvam. When Krishna looked at Arjuna, says, sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ. He said, māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja ahaṁ tvā sarva-pāpebhyo. When he said māṁ, saulabhya shreyah patitva, māmekaṁ. Arjuna, I am there for you. Māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. And immediately the next line, ahaṁ tva. He is showing his lotus feet. Ahaṁ paratva. Hey Arjuna, in order for someone to deliver you from samsara, that someone has to be that Parabrahman. Therefore, he is demonstrating by aham. That is why in many temples, Acha Murti, Bhagavan is showing his divine lotus feet, pointing his divine lotus feet, saying that is the sole refuge and he is the Paraswaru, Purushottama. Aham paratvam. Kalyana guna of paratvam. Aham tva. Hey Arjuna, tva, you. When he says you are my Sesha, I am your Seshi. You are my Dasa, I am your Swami. Swamitvam. Seshitvam. Sesha means utility. Seshi means the user of the utility. So here again, aham tva sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. Sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi demonstrates the kalyana guna of sarva-pāpa vināṣakatvam. The only way we can escape from the clutches of our, not prarabdha, sanchita karma. It is like coming to the finishing line and then finding out that finishing line after all is not finishing line. There is potentially another starting line being readied for me, and that can be really not only frustrating, disappointing. What we thought is a finishing line is not finishing line. Krishna says, I can make that finishing line a real finishing line. Sarva-pāpa vināṣakatvam. Entire sanchita karma can be completely destroyed, and only then we can catch the archiradi. Only then liberation is possible. Sarva-pāpa vināṣakatvam. Sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi śhuchaḥ. Śhuchaḥ. Do not grieve. Śhuchaḥ. Be fearless. So therefore, the kalyana guna that Krishna is demonstrating through śhuchaḥ is sarva-phala pradatvam. Śhuchaḥ. I shall bestow moksha. I have given you all the gifts in life. I have given you the gift of life, and I will give you the supreme gift of this life, which is the moksha. Sarva-phala pradatvam, moksha pradatvam, and more importantly, śhuchaḥ. Do not worry. I will accept you. Svikaryatvam. Because the biggest worry for all of us is after we come onto this path and we start realizing what all happened in the past. That is where the problem starts. We are worried. Am I good enough for Krishna? Because when we look back our own past, we become very uncomfortable. Am I good enough for Krishna? Now the question, how do we get an answer to the question? Am I good enough for Krishna? No, we are not good enough for Krishna. And yet we are good enough for Krishna. Not to confuse. Both are true. Are we good enough for Krishna? No, we are not good enough for Krishna. Because whatever sadhana we do, we can never become pure. Therefore, we are not good enough for Krishna. And yet, we are good enough for Krishna, because Krishna is only looking, he only cares for us, not for our purity. Very important to understand. He cares for us. He knows what is important to understand. If we ask the question, are we qualified or unqualified for moksha? Bang on, the answer is unqualified. Whatever we do, we may be unqualified, but Krishna says, you are never disqualified. Māshuchaḥ. We are unqualified because we can never do any sadhana to reach that state of saying, I am now beyond the three gunas. I am ready for moksha. Therefore, we are always unqualified. But Krishna says, Māshuchaḥ, you are unqualified, but you are not disqualified, hey Arjuna. Why we are not disqualified? Because we have one qualification, Krishna Kripa. Our only qualification is Krishna Kripa. Krishna's focus is not where we have been. His focus is where we want to go. Very important to understand. His focus is not on where we have been. We could have been anywhere doing anything in the past. This is Bhagavan's compassion. Each and every one of us have the same opportunity. No one has anything special. Reform, transform, everybody has equal opportunity. And therefore, he says, my focus is on your intention. My focus. Do you desire moksha? Do you desire, are you longing to belong only to me? Do you have that Krishna Trishna? That is enough. Where you have been, because why? He himself said, sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. I am very dirty, but it is his job to pull me out of the depths of dirt and take me to the summit of purity. That is his job. Cleansing is his work. Therefore, I may be impure, I may be not qualified, but he himself has taken over this responsibility, and therefore I can be assured that he will do his job. I may not do my job well, but one thing I am assured, Krishna will always do his job. And with that assurance, Māshuchaḥ. Therefore, when Krishna says Māshuchaḥ, swikaryatvam. Svikara. He accepts us as we are. We are bundles of imperfections, bundles of doshas. Ahamasmi aparadhanam alayo akinchano agatihi. Tvameva upaya bhuto me bhaveti prarthanamatihi śharaṇagatihi. That awareness alone is enough. Hey Bhagavan, I am bundle of imperfections. I am incapable. I have no other refuge but for you. That awareness alone is enough. And therefore Krishna says, I totally, completely accept you. Svikaryatva of Krishna is being demonstrated when he says, Māshuchaḥ. So through Charama Shloka, we get to relish Bhagavan's Kalyana Gunas. Last session, we looked into detail on the first sentence of the Gita. Sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. The first sentence of Charama Shloka is the vidhi. This is where Krishna is saying, Arjuna, do this. He is telling all of us, this is what you should do. He is giving us an injunction. Vidhi, instruction. What is to be done by us? Sarva-dharmān parityajya. What to be renounced? Sarva-dharmān māmekaṁ. What to detach from, what to attach to, what to renounce, what to hold on to. And with what state of mind? This is the first sentence of the Charama Shloka. This is why it is also celebrated as Vidhi Rahasya. Vidhi, it's an instruction, it's a secret instruction from Bhagavan to each and every one of us. So Bhagavan also knows, when he says a secret, he gets attention from all. He's saying it's secret, but he is so loud that everybody can hear. But he still says it's a secret. Because he is also compassionate. sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. Now the second line, ahaṁ tva sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi śhuchaḥ. The second line is what Krishna will do. The first line is what we should do. The second line is what Krishna will do. The first is vidhi. The second is the reward, the phala. He knows. Krishna is a master. Whenever he asks us to do something, he knows immediately, you will do this. If I do this, what will you give, hey Krishna? Even when it comes to Saranagati, our natural response to everything is, yes, I will do, then what? He said, even before we could ask, he doesn't want us to ask. So immediately he says, ahaṁ tva sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. Without giving a break. Otherwise he knows. Arjuna would have interpreted and says, hey Krishna, what will you do for me? No, he doesn't let Arjuna or us ask that question. Immediately he says, ahaṁ tva sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi śhuchaḥ. Ahaṁ. Now Krishna is pointing to his lotus feet. Ahaṁ paratva param brahma param dhāma pavitram paramam bhavan purusham śhāsvatam divyam adidevam ajam vibhum. After the Chatushloki Gita, in the 10th chapter, immediately Arjuna realizes Krishna. Until then, this is one shloka where Arjuna ends up praising Krishna. Arjuna's prayers to Krishna. So if we need to pick some prayers from the Gita, this is one important shloka. Because everywhere Krishna is teaching. There are few occasions where Arjuna is praying. Now this Arjuna's prayer comes immediately after that quintessential wisdom. That Chatushloki Gita, which is celebrated as Chatushloki Gita, where Krishna packs all the Gita wisdom together in just simple 4 shlokas. Immediately Arjuna realizes who is in front of him. This param brahma, param dhāma. So here Krishna is reminding Arjuna, hey Arjuna, you are the one who you realized who am I. Now reflect once again when I say ahaṁ param brahma yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisham vishanti tad vijignyasasva tad brahmeti. That parabrahman, I am that parabrahman. I am the cause, threefold cause of creation, sustenance, dissolution. Param brahma, param dhāma. I am the supreme abode of every jivatma. I am the ultimate destination. Param brahma, param dhāma, pavitram parama. I am the ultimate purifier. What is purification here? The one purification here is liberation. Ultimate purification is to reach Paramapada Vaikuntha. Completely devoid of all karma. So I am that ultimate purifier. Moksha pradatva, param brahma, param dhāma, pavitram paramam bhavan. Purusham śhāsvatam, I am the Purushottama. Purusham śhāsvatam divyam adidevam. The deva of all the devas. Every devata is my vibhuti. I am the vibhu. Adidevam ajam vibhum, he says. If you know me, you know everything else. I am the end, I am the beginning, I am the middle. And therefore, I am the one who will liberate you. Surrender to me. Adidevam ajam vibhum. And then he goes on to say, hey Arjuna goes on to say, you alone know about yourself. It is impossible for me to know you. He says, you don't need to know me fully. All that you need to know is that I and I am alone is your refuge. And therefore here he says, ahaṁ tva sarva-pāpebhyo. Just know this alone, it is enough for you. So ahaṁ is once again Bhagavan referring to his paratva here. Ahaṁ tva. When he says tva, he is referring to Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, you. I will relieve you from samsara. I will remove all the obstacles that come in the way of you and moksha. I will remove all the obstruction that is between you and me. So therefore, ahaṁ, I, tva, you. You, Arjuna, all of us. Now, this tva is very, very important. This is the śharaṇagata. Bhagavan is śharaṇagata vatsala. Ahaṁ śharaṇagata vatsala. Tva Saranagata. This Saranagati, taking refuge, is not very easy. The one who seeks refuge and takes refuge is the Saranagata. Now, how can one seek and take refuge? Refuge taking is governed by 6 principles of Saranagati. Saranagata Lakshana. Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshayati iti vishvasaha, goptrutva varanam tata, akmanikshepa karpanye, shadvida Saranagatihi. Shadvida, 6 angas of Saranagati. Now, when he says tva, he is referring to a Saranagata. A Saranagata has to be governed by the 6 principles. What are the 6 principles? Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam. Let's look at these 2. Anukulyasya sankalpaha, which means everything and anything I do is only to please Krishna. Anukulyasya sankalpaha. Total alignment with Krishna's will. My will is surrendered to Krishna's will. Pratikulyasya varjanam. Not doing anything that displeases Krishna. Every action that I do must not displease him. Pratikulyasya varjanam. Avoiding any wrong deed, anything that displeases him. Now, this is where we also need to understand Bhagavan's unconditional love. Now, he unconditionally loves us, but also these 2, when we look at these 2, Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, there seem to be some restrictions. There seem to be some things that we need to do. He unconditionally loves me, so therefore I can get away doing anything. We may ask, if I cannot get away doing anything, how can we call his love unconditional? Because when it comes to tarka, we will come up with all kinds of arguments. Now, the way we need to understand unconditional love. Krishna's unconditional love does not mean whatever we do is loved. Let me repeat the statement. Krishna's unconditional love does not mean whatever we do is loved. Whatever we do, we are loved. Very, very subtle difference. His unconditional love means whatever we do is not loved. Whatever we do, in spite of whatever we do, we are loved. So, which means, this is why Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam. Because Krishna knows, because we are very smart and say that you unconditionally love me, so I will end up doing all kinds of nonsense. No. Anything that we do which is not aligned to our dharma is definitely not what Krishna loves. But he loves us in spite of all our faults and offenses. This is his compassion. It's like a loving, caring parent finds out a bad habit of a child. The parent will not love the bad habit. The parent will love the child in spite of the bad habit. And the parent is so very caring, so very compassionate, has unconditional love that will end up doing everything and anything possible to reform and transform the child. Now, if a mortal parent can do this, Bhagavan, who is the Lokapita and the Lokamata all put together, obviously, he, in spite of our wrongdoings, in spite of our offenses, he continues to love us. And that is the reason why we keep doing mistakes, he keeps giving us opportunities. We continue to keep doing mistakes, he continues to give opportunities. Ever waiting, ever willing, ever working. Krishna, not us. We never waiting, never working, never willing. This is us. But he is ever waiting, ever willing, ever working on our behalf. Repeatedly, he keeps giving opportunities so that we can transform. So, that is his unconditional love. Loving us totally, completely. Without looking at our own past baggage, without looking at our own offenses. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam rakshayati iti vishwasaha. Rakshayati iti vishwasaha, mahavishwasa. If there is no mahavishwasa, Saranagati is impossible. When we go back to the Marjala Kishoranyaya, it is the mahavishwasa of the kitchen that the mother cat will take care. The mother cat is jumping from one tree to the other, and the kitten is blissful, enjoying the leap. No fear whatsoever. What we would do, we would hold on. Any problem comes, we immediately try to take control, assuming that as if we are in control. Faith, there are many aspects to Mahavishwasa. Most important aspect of Mahavishwasa is relinquishing control. Knowing that everything is in control. How can I say that? Everything is in control, is in his control. We may think things are going out of control. That is our limited way of seeing things. Everything is as it should be. Every event is unfolding as per his sankalpa. He is in total control. Everything moves on as per his will. So all that we need to do is not try to intervene and do something stupid. But we end up doing that. Mahavishwasa is only possible like Draupadi raised the two hands. Mahavishwasa is only possible when we let go and let God. Let go and let God. Let Him do His job. Neither we do our jobs properly, nor we allow Him to do His job. This is where we are. Either we have to do our job properly, there also we mess up, and then we obstruct, come in the way of He doing His job because of lack of faith. Mahavishwasa. A Saranagata is defined by Mahavishwasa. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam rakshayati iti vishwasaha goptrutva varanam. Beautiful phrase. Goptrutva varanam. One of the key process in any Vaidika Vivaha is Varanam. Varanam means choosing. Essentially, the Jivatma has to choose Paramatma, choosing Krishna and Krishna alone. Goptrutva Varanam. He is not one amongst several. He is the only one. That is why the gopis are compared to the Chataka bird. The Chataka bird is waiting for the rain to come from the clouds. Even if the Chataka bird is sitting on a branch of a tree which is adjacent to a river, it can be even Ganga, or it can be a Kaveri. Chataka bird does not dip its beak to drink water. It can be thirsty, but it is waiting for the water to come from the cloud. Gopi lochana chatakam vajamanihi. Just like gopis, goptrutva varanam, choosing Him. That is when Krishna says māmekaṁ. Here the response is, you said māmekaṁ, I will abide by that and choose only you and only you. Goptrutva varanam anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam rakshayati iti vishwasaha goptrutva varanam tata atmanikshepaha. Atmanikshepa, we looked at this last week as well. Atmanikshepa is essentially surrendering our Atman. What is surrendering Atman? Essentially namaha. Essentially nikshepa means deposit. Depositing what? Depositing the Atman. Where? Where it belongs. Essentially, we stop being robbers. We rob our own selves from, and we think we belong to ourselves. Atmanikshepa is essentially acknowledging that I do not belong to myself. I belong to him and him alone. Atmanikshepa karpanye. Karpanya. Utter helplessness. Akinchanaha agatihi. Devoid of any means, devoid of any refuge, incapabilities, imperfections. Now, we need to understand when we say helplessness, helplessness is essentially in a way helping ourselves. How? How can helplessness help us? The helplessness here, the karpanya of a Saranagata, is helping ourselves to realize that we are only helpless without Krishna. With Krishna, we are never helpless. So this helplessness, in a way, is helping ourselves. That's karpanya. Realizing our incapability to do anything on our own. Essentially, the awareness that a part cannot survive without the whole. The cell of a body has no existence without the body. It cannot, it is inseparable and it's totally subservient and it is helpless. The beauty of this helplessness is in the process of serving the whole, the part gets nourished in return. This is the beauty. Look at the design of this universe. In the process of every part serving the whole ends up nourishing the part. The part need not worry about its own nourishment. Our body teaches us this fundamental principle. The cell is not worried about its own, the body nourishes the cell. The cell's business only is to serve the body. And the cell is helpless without the body. So, Krishna, one of the fundamental angas of Saranagati, principles that govern a Saranagata, is karpanya. Atmanikshepa karpanye shadvida Saranagatihi. Ahaṁ tva sarva-pāpebhyo. Tva is you, and in the process of saying you, Krishna also highlights the 6 qualities of a Saranagata. Ahaṁ tva sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi śhuchaḥ. Sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. Krishna, he says, hey Arjuna, I will ensure that all your papa karmas are completely eradicated. I will liberate you from the clutches of samsara. What is important for us here to note? Krishna says, sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. I will liberate you. He does not say, I liberate you. There is a difference between I will liberate you and saying I liberate you. I liberate you means I liberate you now. I will liberate you means wait. You have things to do. You have things to do. Essentially, this is a very, very important thing that we need to realize. Surrender does not mean just helpless dependence. Surrender has to manifest both as helpless dependence and resourceful readiness to serve Bhagavan. This is a very, very important teaching in the Charama Shloka. We surrender and we may think after that there is nothing else for us to do. No. Helpless dependence is so very important. After we surrender, then what? Resourceful readiness to serve him, to do his kainkarya. Therefore, hey Arjuna, surrender to me now. I will liberate you later. But that's a promise. I will liberate mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. You will be liberated when your prarabdha karma is exhausted. Until then, you still have to continue this life's journey. This life's journey as a prapanna. We surrender once. Moksha doesn't come immediately. Between our surrender, the one-time surrender, and the rest of the lifetime, we continue to be prapannas. How do we continue to be prapannas? Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshayeti iti vishvasaha. Goptrutva paranam tata atmanikshepakarpanye shadvidha saranagati. Follow these 6 principles, continue. But there is an assurance that the finishing line is a finishing line now. Because now we are assured. Until then, the finishing line may not be a finishing line. Now Krishna says, you will soon see the finishing line. Sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi. All the papas, all the karma that have to be completely eradicated for you to come along with me on the Archiradi Marga will wait. First, do your duty. One thing Krishna never forgets throughout the Gita. He always keeps Arjuna's focus on the duty to be performed. That is why Gita is so very practical, so very relevant to our day-to-day life and living. Profound philosophy combined with practical application which is relevant to any walk of life, to any age group, to anyone from across the globe. So, mokṣhayiṣhyāmi ma śhuchaḥ, mokṣhayiṣhyāmi, sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi, ma śhuchaḥ. Ma śhuchaḥ is a glorious ending to Charama Shloka. Not just Gita Charama Shloka, glorious ending to all the 3 Charama Shlokas. Because that is why it is Charama of the Charama Shlokas. Why ma śhuchaḥ? Krishna has given this assurance multiple times. Now we are very, very clear. There need not be an iota of doubt whatsoever that He is the protector, He is the savior, He shall liberate us, and moksha is ours, guaranteed. Krishna has given that guarantee. So, continue to be fearless, continue to engage in doing Krishna Kainkarya until the time comes when we have to take the glorious path of Archiradi. Until then, celebrate life. Ma śhuchaḥ. Celebrate life. Life is to be celebrated. Now that we have become prapannas, everything is beautiful now. Because we know moksha is guaranteed. All that we need to do is continue, bring Vaikuntha to Bhuloka and continue to be blissfully serving Krishna. Only celebration. No fear, no worry, no concern, no doubt, no hesitation whatsoever. And after we do Saranagati, will problems come in life? Of course, they will come in loads, as usual. Because we are still in Prakriti Mandala. Problems will keep coming and coming. Therefore, ma śhuchaḥ. Instead of going to Krishna and telling him how big the problems are, look at your problems and tell them how big Krishna is. That is ma śhuchaḥ. Simple change in direction. We are habituated to look at in Krishna and say how big our problems are. Hey Krishna, what is this? Problems are becoming unsurmountable. Every day the size of the problem is only growing. Krishna is saying, ma śhuchaḥ, just turn around, look at the problem and say how big Krishna is, who is going to redeem me. Problem will vanish, will dissolve, disappear. Therefore, ma śhuchaḥ. Therefore, celebrate. Sarva-dharmān parityajya māmekaṁ śharaṇaṁ vraja. Ahaṁ tvāṁ sarva-pāpebhyo mokṣhayiṣhyāmi ma śhuchaḥ. Let us take this opportunity to express our gratitude to Sri Krishna Paramatma, who descended only for our sake. Gita Shastra is a manual for us. He took all the pain, the whole of Krishna Avatara, if we see, he went through pain after pain. Krishna is smiling all the time. But right from his birth until he went back to Vaikuntha, there's unimaginable pains that he had to endure throughout his avatara. Sometimes we may feel for Rama, but when we reflect on Krishna Avatara, we will realize that what Rama underwent is nothing in comparison to what Krishna underwent. With all this, his mission to give us that manual that can continue to guide us eternally is only speaking of his nirhetuka kripa. Who are we to be chosen? What qualifications do we have? We are not qualified, but we are not disqualified. Why? Because Krishna's nirhetuka kripa is always streaming down. Let us express our gratitude that we could at least spend 2 sessions relishing Charama Shloka. Can we spend more time? Yes. But the journey in the Gita with the 18th chapter has to go on. So therefore, when some other opportunity comes, we can once again dive deep into the Charama Shloka. But I think we have done enough justice to taste the nectar of Charama Shloka with 1 spoonful of the nectar. It is a cornucopia where there is never-ending nectar that keeps flowing out. But yatha shakti, whatever is possible with our limited capabilities, we manage to relish the Charama Shloka, and therefore let us express our gratitude to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Let us express our gratitude to Arjuna, who kept on constantly asking the question and took Krishna all the way to the 18th chapter so that Charama Shloka can actually happen. Let us thank Sanjaya, who was blessed thanks to his Guru Kripa that he was able to witness the whole thing and first hand listen the Charama Shloka from Krishna himself. Let us thank Vyasa for faithfully recording this so that it is available after so many thousands and thousands of years. It is available to us so that we can relish it. Let us also thank Swami Ramanuja, Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada, Madhvacharya, Nimbarka, Vedanta Deshika, Manavala Mamunigal, so many acharyas who throughout their lives, they dedicated their lives so that this abundance of nectar is available in a way that we can consume, we can relish. Commentaries and commentaries and commentaries, thousands and thousands of pages commentaries, 1 lifetime is not enough. But thanks to all our acharyas, we are today in a position to understand a little bit of the message of Krishna that was given to Arjuna on the battlefield of Gita. Charama Shloka is completed. Gita is still not completed. Picture abhi kafi baki hai. We will continue with our journey after a break of 2 weeks. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.